Hello everybody and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to play around with colored pencils and I'm super excited about it. I'm holding in my hands a set of 72 colored pencils from Woomer. By the way, this video is not sponsored. The lovely folks from Woomer sent me this cute box for free so I could share my honest thoughts with you. And as you know, I hope you know, I always tell you exactly what I think. Let's start by unpacking them. The pencils come in a simple metal box with plastic trays inside. I actually like that the trays aren't glued to the box, and it's kind of minor thing but useful. First impressions, the packaging, I don't know, it's pretty basic and it doesn't give off a premium feel, but considering how affordable these pencils are, that's totally fine. What really matters is the quality of the pencils themselves, and of course we're about to test that. At first glance, I love so much the color selection. It looks really inspiring. There are plenty of shades from each color group, and yeah, I think the selection is pretty balanced. When it comes to pencils, markers, pastels, I don't know, I firmly believe the more colors the better, because more colors give you more freedom, I guess. One little and fun detail: on the back of the paper wrapped around the box, you will find a printed swatch sheet. Yeah, I think the idea is pretty smart, but honestly I think the paper is too smooth, a little bit too glossy for pencils, and I think that it's too bad to give an accurate impression of the pigment and texture. You probably know that I'm a bit of how can I say it, a swatching maniac. But this time I decided to skip swatching. Shocking content, I know, shock. My hands were itching to start drawing, so let's do it. But before we begin, don't forget to like this video. YouTube's algorithm seems to love it. Today I'm going to fill this whimsical sketchbook spread. I prepared in advance this sketch and I'm ready to start drawing. As I mentioned before, the plastic trays in the box aren't attached, and I actually found that super convenient. You can just pull them out and place them wherever it's most comfortable to work for you. Initially, I wanted to go for I don't know, some sort of a flat color technique, but in the very beginning of my process I changed my mind and decided to make the spread in some sort of a more painterly way, more like my usual painting process when I work with gouache or tempera. Since I had a lot of colors to choose from, it gave me the freedom to combine them in a really nice way. I started with light pressure to build some sort of base layer, and then I just kept layering one color over another. The first thing I loved about these pencils is how smooth and highly pigmented they are. You don't need to press hard at all, and they blend beautifully together without getting muddy. If I need to darken some area, I can just layer a darker color on the top of something that I have already colored. That's important, and it still shows up clearly. That's great. From the very beginning of my drawing process, it felt really comfortable to work with these pencils, and honestly I believe that's the most important thing. I mean, the way you feel while working with specific materials. I believe it is about your feelings in the first place, and your materials definitely shouldn't piss you off. Okay, maybe you like to suffer in this case, yeah. Sometimes I like to suffer too. For example, you can watch my oil pastels review. It was like a combination of suffering and enjoyment. very strange one. For me, when it comes to colored pencils, I usually appreciate their softness. I can't stand super firm pencils for a very simple reason. Usually my hand gets tired very quickly when I work with firm colored pencils. So yeah, I like that these pencils are soft. Oh, and by the way, I do remember the sketchbook tour I promised you in my latest video. By the way, thank you so much for being so active on my latest video. I appreciate it a lot, and the sketchbook tour is coming very soon. Now back to the drawing. When I started this plant sketch, I decided to use this month's color palette from my Patreon as main reference for it. I love so much the combo of soft pinks, muddy greens and blues, and I think these bold red and black accents work very well too for this palette. By the way, just a quick side note, I already have around 30 different color palettes on my Patreon, and I make new color exploration posts every single month. So yeah, they're pretty different, they have different moods. So if you like how I work with color, if you like my color combinations, my color palettes, feel free to check my Patreon. There's a lot of inspiring and practical content there, including tutorials and long detailed process videos. So yeah, I would be happy to see you there. Even though I tried to stay within the original palette, as I used as reference, of course, I couldn't resist adding more shades in the process, and sometimes, yeah, it was pretty difficult to find the exact same tints, that I had in my palette. So in the end, the palette served more as inspiration than a strict guide, and that is totally fine. So the pencils are smooth, vibrant, they are really pigmented, and I think that you can clearly see it yourselves in the video. I don't need to press hard and they blend easily, and that is mostly all what I want from pencils, from colored pencils. But also a very interesting surprise has been waiting for me, and I will tell you about it a little bit later. One thing to keep in mind though, since they're quite soft, you will need to sharpen them often. So yeah, they might run out quicker than firmer pencils, but I don't know, it's okay for me too, because if that's a kind of trade-off for this buttery softness, I can totally live with it. I don't know if it is visible on camera, but when I press a bit harder for richer pigment, I get some colored dust around the drawing. It feels like a pencil kind of crashes a little bit, and probably it's just a side effect of its softness. I got used to it blowing it off, blowing this dust off, so it wasn't a big deal for me. But one thing is really surprised me. These pencils don't smudge at all. I don't know how it works. They're super soft, and even this colored dust, it is not a problem at all. That's amazing. I always press my hand very close to the paper while drawing, and usually I end up smudging and staining my art, my face, the table, I don't know, my soul, because I get very upset because of this. So I think you got the point. But this time the process stayed super clean, and this is great. This is really great. Okay, now please let me send a little message to the universe, if you don't mind. Dear art supply brands, I'm running out of gouache. Yeah, I'm running out of gouache paint, so if you want to send me some gouache or temperature test, I would gladly accept it. I'm here, I'm ready, so yeah, please just email me. This is the end of the message. Looking at the drawing near the end, I don't know, I feel I'm not totally happy with the blue I used here in the painting, in the drawing. It doesn't have that soft, muted, complex look from my original palette, and it feels a bit too vibrant, a bit too bold, and for me now it feels like it doesn't fit in. I kind of wish I could take it out, but of course now I can't. So yeah. For the next page, I decided to go with a simpler, less detailed technique. I thought about using a flat color style again, and of course I ended up adding more tints because I just couldn't resist to add more colors into my sketch. Just can't help it. I mostly worked in one layer, if it makes sense. Applying more pressure and filling in the areas in a bolder, some sort of braver way. And honestly, I enjoyed this process much more. The style felt a bit more playful and even, I don't know, a little childish in the best way. At one point, I had this lovely nostalgic feeling like I was a kid again, just playing with beautiful colored pencils. Yeah, it was very joyful. To be honest, as a child, I think I would have sold my entire soul for a set this big and this beautiful. And I definitely didn't have anything like this while I was a kid, while growing up. If you'd like to try these pencils yourself, I've got a little treat for you. Enjoy a 10% discount on Amazon using the code I left in the description below. Please keep in mind that the code will be valid for 1 month only. I often see other artists recommending buying colored pencils separately instead of in sets. And they usually say that when you buy a set, you have a lot of useless colors in it, and there's a high chance that you will not use some colors at all, and you will use only the colors that you like to use. So in this case, you're kind of overpaying for the colors you don't use. And yeah, from some perspective, I believe it makes sense. But all in all, I think that the decision whether you should buy in a set or separately depends on your style and on your needs, on your goals, etc. For example, if you work in a more realistic style, it's more likely that you will use more colors, and it's most likely you will use all the colors in your set, and the more colors you have, the better. But if you tend to use a limited color palette, for example, or some sort of flat style, of course it makes more sense to buy separate colored pencils. As for me, I usually do both things. I usually prefer to have a large set in case I need some colors, even unpredictable colors, and yeah, maybe I don't use them very often, but sometimes I will need them, and it is very good to have them at hand. And at the same time, sometimes I buy colored pencils separately, and I buy mostly, my most popular colors which I like to use. Even when I use a simple coloring style, mostly I love having as many tints as possible. At least I feel more freedom in applying different colors, and Yeah, it gives me more freedom to experiment and combine sometimes even unexpected shades. By the way, how about you? Do you usually prefer buying colored pencils in sets or one by one? And here is the finished spread. It was pure joy to work with these pencils. I loved the process and will definitely keep using them in my sketchbook. For some reason, I especially love the right page. Maybe because it reminds me that, I don't know, sometimes simplicity really is better, and the process of creating this right page really brought me some childish memories and I appreciate it a lot. Thank you so much for watching this video, and a special thank you, traditionally, to my wonderful patrons. See you very soon in the upcoming sketchbook tour. I hope so much you're waiting for it. Bye bye!